Chip Moody, John McKay, Troy Duncan, and Dale Hansen. This is News 8 at 5.
Time to put it in a real trial.
Less than 2 weeks before going to trial, former Secretary of Defense Caspar Weinberger is pardoned by President Bush. 5 others implicated in the Iran-Contra affair are also cleared. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Chip is off today.
In a Christmas Eve announcement, President Bush said he wanted to end the bitterness created by the Iran-Contra scandal. Weinberger says he is pleased by the news of the pardon, but as ABC's Kathleen Delasky reports, there are many who aren't pleased.
The president waited until Christmas Eve to grant the controversial pardons, when he would be with his family at Camp David, far from TV cameras. He justified his decision in a written statement explaining the common denominator of their motivation, whether their actions were right or wrong, was patriotism. The president granted pardons to 6 government figures, most notably former Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger, who was scheduled to go on trial January 5th. Also former Assistant Secretary of State Elliott Abrams, Claire George, Alan Fires, and Dwayne Claridge, all of the CIA, and former National Security Advisor Robert McFarlane. With a stroke of the pen, the president undid most of a 6-year legal investigation headed by independent counsel Lawrence Walsh, who Mr. Bush said has criminalized policy differences. A very happy Caspar Weinberger said his family will be spared unshirted hell now that his trial has been canceled. He stopped smiling long enough to take a slap at Lawrence Walsh.
It was a grotesque use of this really very dangerous power that marked the reign of Mr. Walsh.
Mr. Walsh denounced the pardons as more evidence of cover-up.
It demonstrates that powerful people with powerful allies can commit serious crimes in high office, deliberately abusing the public trust without consequences.
The president-elect, who will inherit this thorny issue, had only this to say.
I am concerned by any action which sends a signal that if you work for the government, you're above the law.
This investigation, which has lasted 6 years and cost taxpayers $30 million, is not over yet. Lawrence Walsh says he probably cannot re-prosecute the men President Bush has pardoned, but in the final months of this investigation, his team will focus on what Walsh called President Bush's own misconduct in Iran-Contra. Kathleen Delasky, ABC News, the White House.
News of the Weinberger pardon nearly overshadowed some history-making cabinet appointments announced today in Little Rock by President-elect Clinton. One of those appointments could impact the way your children are taught about sex and AIDS in schools. Channel 8's Renee San Miguel joins us from our newsroom with more. Renee?
John, on a day when many critics of President Bush argue that justice is denied because of the Weinberger pardon, Bill Clinton was setting a new course for the Justice Department as he completed his cabinet selections. The president-elect has named the nation's first woman attorney general. He's also named another Hispanic and another African-American to the most racially diverse cabinet in history. And he's named a new surgeon general, one whose outspoken views on abortion and sex education are sure to rankle conservatives in Texas and around the country. The final cabinet selections are corporate counsel Zoe Baird for Attorney General, former Arizona Governor Bruce Babbitt, a favorite of environmentalists, for Secretary of the Interior, Mississippi Congressman Mike Espy for Agriculture Secretary, and former Denver Mayor and Texas native Federico Peña, who led efforts to build a new state-of-the-art Denver airport, as Transportation Secretary. Clinton is clearly proud of these folks, but the first questions deal with President Bush's pardon of Caspar Weinberger. Clinton says he's concerned about sending a message that government officials are above the law.
Or that not telling the truth to Congress under oath is somehow less serious than not telling the truth to some other body under oath. But I don't want to say more until I have a chance to study all the statement of the president.
Ms. Baird won't comment on Weinberger, but she does talk about what the Justice Department means to her.
It symbolizes that we are a nation guided by the rule of law, and a nation that, as the very title of the department suggests, is committed to bringing justice.
Mike Espy, the son of a Depression-era USDA extension agent, says the current Ag Department is still stuck in the 30s. There's fewer farms, but more bureaucracy, and that has sown the seeds of discontent among America's farmers and consumers.
They expect and deserve a department which advocates rather than frustrates. They expect and deserve a department which provides accurate factual information and stable programs.
Although it's not a cabinet-level position, Clinton's choice for Surgeon General, Arkansas Health Commissioner Joycelyn Elders, promises to spark conservatives due to her pro-choice views and her work in making contraceptives available in Arkansas school clinics. She says all she needs is more money to expand that program nationwide.
That if we would prevent unplanned, unwanted pregnancies, there would never be a need for an abortion. And I feel that the best way to do that is to very much strengthen health education in our schools, to very much expand the support for family planning.
Now, we want to make it clear that Arkansas state guidelines offer school districts and their communities the option of providing condoms and other contraceptives to high school students. No one is forced to do so. And so far, not that many districts have taken Dr. Elders up on her offer. But she can use her new title as a bully pulpit of sorts to prompt districts to be more open in their sex ed teachings. John?
Okay, Renee, you heard the concerns earlier this week about the number of minorities and women in Clinton's cabinet. So what are the numbers right now?
Well, the numbers are now that he has fulfilled his promise, his campaign promise of building a cabinet that does reflect America. There are 4 African Americans, that's a record. 2 Hispanics, that ties the number of Hispanics appointed by President Bush and President Reagan. And 4 women, which is also a record. And some might argue that you can even up that number to 5 if you include Hillary Clinton, who is an unofficial but very influential advisor to the president-elect. Gloria?
All right, thanks a lot, Renee. The American killed in Somalia yesterday has been identified. He's Lawrence Friedman, a civilian Army employee from North Carolina. He was killed by a landmine as he prepared the way for Marine-led food convoys to the town of Bardera. A battalion of Marines arrived there today bringing food to thousands of starving people. It took the battalion nearly 10 hours to make the trip from Baidoa. Along the way, at least 4 trucks broke down and the temperature soared to 100 degrees. But the military set up camp just outside Bardera and declared the central Somali town secure within an hour. And a quiet moment for Christmas among U.S. troops. Since Somalia is a Muslim country, Americans are keeping the Christian holiday low-key. But elsewhere in Somalia, Santa's assistants brought a special delivery of Christmas trees to the U.S. troops. Also, the first mail from the United States, including thousands of Christmas cards, started arriving in Mogadishu today.
In Comanche County, the search for clues into what caused the crash of an F-14 fighter jet continues. Investigators with the Navy and Federal Aviation Administration were out before daybreak, sifting through the charred wreckage. Meanwhile, workers began moving pieces of the plane, which apparently will be taken to Fort Hood to be looked over by mechanical experts. Officials are talking to the plane's pilot, Lieutenant Commander James Summers, who escaped with only minor injuries. His partner, a radar intercept officer, died in the crash. Officials identified him today as 43-year-old Lieutenant Commander Jim Seegers of Plano.
A Dallas cab company offers a $5,000 reward tonight after one of its drivers was robbed and murdered. Police say 37-year-old Michael Grubbs was found shot to death in the 5200 block of Clover Haven in the Buckner Terrace area of Dallas early this morning. Police found his yellow checker cab a short time later in the parking lot of a Pace warehouse store near the intersection of Buckner and Samuel. Today, fellow cabbies handed out flyers telling people about the reward.
Before Christmas is always a bad time of the year, always has been. I've been in this business over 20 years, and the month of December has always been the worst.
The company says this is the 6th cabbie killed in the Dallas area this year. Anyone with information can call the Dallas Police Department.
A break in a natural gas main in Carrollton is shut off now, and evacuated neighbors have returned home. Fire officials brought the scene under control immediately this morning. But they were concerned for a time, and they were not pleased with the slow response of the gas company. Channel 8's Vince Patton reports.
A crew working on an alley for the city of Carrollton got stuck. As their track loader tried to wedge itself free, it tipped into the utility ditch, hitting a 2-inch gas line. Natural gas spewed, and fire officials immediately evacuated 20 homes.
As a precaution, we took gas readings. We found that we had gas readings in the explosive limits within 2 houses of the leak on each side in the alley.
Most folks coped with having a sealed-off neighborhood by going Christmas shopping. Only a handful turned out at the neighborhood elementary school for some free coffee and a wait which they hoped would be short.
Well, I was just doing Christmas stuff, so it's okay.
They are just minor inconvenience. No problem.
While firefighters had the area under control, they were at the mercy of Lone Star Gas to come in and shut off the pipe. Lone Star's crew didn't arrive until nearly 2 hours after the original call for help.
I think it's a very long time. I think it's an unacceptable length of time, and we'll be pursuing that with it.
Lone Star says it did take longer than normal to respond, but it wasn't too serious a situation with only a 2-inch pipe involved.
The problem is, of course, this is a holiday, and the entire company is on holiday. So what we have to do is notify the crew, and they come in and get the equipment and go to the scene.
Once there, it did not take long to shut off the gas. Fortunately, with no injuries and a relatively easy repair, no one will face any inconvenience into the holiday. Vince Patton, Channel 8 News, Carrollton.
Still ahead, some Houston doctors are battling mysterious forms of cancer. Dennis Johnson tells us about their mission in tonight's HealthWise report.
And a little later, we'll tell you about a one-of-a-kind present for your seafaring friends. And it's made right here in landlocked North Texas.
But first, a final check on holiday traffic with Gail Lightfoot of Metro Traffic. Gail?
Well, Gloria, on westbound Southwest Loop 820 in Fort Worth, there's a wreck clearing at Hewlin. In Dallas, a wreck on the shoulder of the road now, northbound 75 Central at Fitzhugh, and clearing one from the service road of northbound I-35 Stemmons at Market Center Boulevard. Gail Lightfoot, News 8 Metro Traffic.
Unlike many other luxury cars, Lincoln Continental comes with standard dual airbags. So while some say the older you get, the smarter you get, we prefer to say the smarter you get, the older you get. Lincoln Continental, what a luxury car should be.
The faces are different, but each one is filled with hope. The traditions are universal, but each one is unique. The songs are in many languages, but everyone can sing along. This holiday season, join Channel 8 and celebrate all the things that make us different and all the things that make us the same.
This is everybody's town. I'm a wheel watcher. I'm a wheel watcher. Wanna go for a spin? Wheels is America's game. I'm a wheel watcher. I'm a wheel watcher. Everybody plays.
10 years as America's favorite game. Join the celebration.
Tonight at 6:30 here on Channel 8.
It's America's game.
A popular headache remedy, Goody's headache powder, is being pulled off the market after cyanide was found in a package of the product in Tennessee. Investigators believe the product tampering caused the death of a 51-year-old Tennessee man. The Food and Drug Administration urges any consumer who thinks their package was tampered with to call Goody's at 919-659-8440. And the agency urges consumers to destroy or return all packages of the product. Other medical news about cancer research. 1 in every 3 Americans will develop some kind of cancer during a lifetime.
Most cancers begin at a specific site, and many of them are related to age, but not always. The unknown cases are the medical mysteries for the research sleuths to solve, as Channel 8's Dennis Johnson shows us in tonight's HealthWise report.
Most cancer cases start with a tumor in a specific location. Unfortunately for some patients, a few tumor cells break away from that primary site and spread to other parts of the body. But in 5% of the cases, no primary tumor can be found, yet the disease has already spread by the time it's diagnosed. Researchers at UTMD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston are in hot pursuit of clues in the case of the missing tumor. The unknown primary tumor clinic focuses on that small percentage of patients for whom treatment is difficult to plan because the strategy generally is based on the information about the primary tumor. It may not be found because it's too small to detect, or the genes may mutate in an entirely new way.
In the bone. She has a pain in the bone.
10-year-old Ana Ruiz poses another challenge to cancer specialists. So does Betty Mays,